Welcome back to the College of Pharmacy Legacy Series. One of the best parts of my job as Dean is hearing from our alumni. Back in August, I received this letter from Dr. Donald Nash, a graduate of the College of Pharmacy in 1953. He shared an update on his own life and the life of his older brother Bob, who also graduated from the College of Pharmacy in our first ever class in 1950. The story of the Nash brothers over the past 75 years is absolutely remarkable, and we thank them for their service to our country during World War II. Enjoy their pharmacy story.
My name is Robert Franklin Nash, and I was born July 14th, 1922, so that makes me 102 years old. Born in Winnebago, Nebraska, which is an Indian tribe, and I'm a member of that Indian tribe. We're originally from Wisconsin, but we got forced out and had to go to Nebraska about the time of the Civil War. And I had 11 aunts and uncles. My dad went to Carlisle Indian School in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. So he got about a 10th grade education, but he was pretty smart. And he kept saying, quit being poor, go to school. So we had 3 children, me, Dawn, and I had a sister. And we all graduated college. She graduated University of Nebraska, and him and I, Utah.
My name is Don Nash. I was born in 1931. I'm going to be 94 years old in January of this year, or next year.
I lived in an Indian town about 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and there was some prejudice against Indians. And I've even gone out to play when I was little kids, and the white kids would say little Indian and so forth stories. Other than that, never had too much racial trouble.
Our parents were divorced when I was 5, he was older. And I was shopped out. I lived with about 20 different families over my life.
Moved a lot during my childhood, different towns and cities. And finally got to Utah and things got better. In a way, I've always kind of missed Utah because I remember good things there. Everything's so nice and clean, and people very friendly. So I found Salt Lake City a very nice place. And I talk about it too much sometimes.
I'm sort of active with the tribe. I get papers, and I write letters to them from time to time. And I wrote about my brother this last time.
Now you got Utes, you're known as Ute Indians. They're out to Fort Duchesne, Utah. I've lived there, and I've lived at White Rocks, Utah. That's an Indian town. If you ever want to go anywhere, go to White Rocks. Or go to Fort Duchesne and see them there. That's where your Utes are at.
I wanted to go into history or journalism or something like that. And my brother was in pharmacy, and he talked me into pharmacy. When I went back to high school, I took all those science classes. The engineering certificate I had, I didn't want to get stuck in a basement anymore. And so I thought of going and doing some chemistry at University of Utah, because the phototopo business started getting a lot of chemicals and oils and paints and so forth. But then I decided I'm going to get stuck back in the basement somewhere, and I thought I followed my brother, I better go to pharmacy where I could be out, meet people. So that's what I did. The choice was to meet people and to be with people and listen to people and so forth.
Why did I take pharmacy? Reason was forestry, you only had one employer, and that was the federal government mainly. And if you got laid off or fired, where would you go to work? And pharmacy at that time, there's as many as 3 drugstores on one corner. A lot of pop and mom's drugstores, a lot of them. You could go any place and find a job. And that was a primary reason well, and another thing, I was in an unemployment bureau when I got out of the Army. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. While I was there, sitting, waiting in a waiting room, you had to go and pick up your check each week. They didn't mail it to you or give you a debit card or anything like that. So while I was there was a pamphlet on a table saying your future in pharmacy. And I read that and I said to myself, I can do that. That's how I got into pharmacy school.
I practiced podiatry after graduating from the University of Utah College of Pharmacy in 1953. I then worked at a number of stores in Utah and California. I was registered in both states. And after about 10 years, I decided I wanted to opt out, and I went back to school and got my doctorate in podiatric medicine, where I became a board-certified surgeon and a number of other certifications. I came out of the Army. My brother came out before me, but I came out, and I had gone in the Army when I was 15 years old, and they caught up with me 26 days before I turned 17, but I went overseas. I went to Iwo Jima, Okinawa, the Philippines. I'm a certified topo engineer, and I worked in Salt Lake City in the blueprint companies and mapping companies. I would have never got where I am today if I hadn't gone into the service. Getting board certified in surgery, you know, I worked at 5 or 6 hospitals and owned my own, had shares in surgery centers, and I operated every day that I worked.
After I got here and went to work, I worked in a drugstore for about 10 years, I guess. There was no retirement for independent drugstores. So I said, I gotta find a job where you get a retirement. So I went to work for the Contra Costa County, and they have hospitals and clinics in different towns. So I became a pharmacist in one of those clinics and worked for them for about 25 years or so, and retired. That was a good choice. That's what I'm living on now.
Probably when I opened up the Medical Square Pharmacy on 5th South, we did pretty good. They wouldn't let us have any front windows, but we did it all on the side. And the doctors in the building were very supportive. When something new came out, I'd always go up and see them. I think it all came together after I graduated and got registered. That was the big thing. I was registered in California as soon as I graduated because they accepted all my time. In Utah, I had to work almost a year to get 1,600 hours to get my boards. I took my boards, but I still had to work the 1,600 hours. You know, when I got my license, I remember I ran out of the house, didn't even touch the stairs, leaped out of the thing, and I'm holding these things up, and they came to me, and that was a moment I was so happy that I got my registration. You know, I could move around now. You know, so that was a glowing moment for me, most exciting, because I went out of that house just I had 4 steps up to this area, and I landed in the middle of the lawn.
Except working in a pharmacy clinic, meeting and talking with all the people there. And in this clinic, we didn't charge for prescriptions. Everything was free. So we had a different type of clientele. So, but it was a good job though, paid for by the government, by this county we're in right here now. And then help a lot of people, and I had a lot of help. I had other people working with me too.
Well, I would say, stay with it. You could easily become a chemist if you don't want to be a pharmacist with going to pharmacy school. You could go to pharmacy school and go into marketing or anything else you want. I think it's probably one of the best well-rounded educational colleges in school over anything, mathematics or chemistry. And it's sort of like medicine. As I said, I think it's such a well-rounded education, you can do anything you want.
Well, in his class, he taught pharmacognosy, which they don't teach today. You don't have a pharmacognosy professor at the study of drugs from plants. And that was his business, was PhD, knowing drugs from plants, mainly. And he used to say, anything can happen on Friday. That was his bywords. So on Friday, we just had a general discussion on anything. We could talk about what's going on in the United States, or that's remember most about him, always saying anything can happen on Friday, which was quite unusual. He wanted to hear our comments about life on Friday. That's the main thing I remember about Dean Heiner. And everybody liked him.
Dean Heiner was a grand man. He was great. He put the old pharmacy together up on that second floor. It was gorgeous, He had towels all over every entryway. He'd go down to the swimming pool, bring up bundles of towels so that you wiped your feet if you walked into his office. I still have the Peacock cards. We had Youngkin's pharmacognosy. That was the textbook. Then we typed up our own cards. I still have mine. And we memorized all parts and uses and doses of each crude drug. We typed them all up on cards, and we kept these cards. 700 of them, we had them in our head. Today, I don't think I can give you one.
Together,
The College of Pharmacy, the place to be.
Try and
This
say it.
is the place.
Yeah. Can we get you to do it together as brothers?
I don't think so.
I can count you down. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
The College of
College of
Pharmacy,
Pharmacy.
the
This
place
is
to
the
be.
place.